This guy is awesome. Hello, YouTube. Hope everyone out there is doing well. JJ Merrill here, bringing you yet again another installment of my Dota 2 strategy series. Now, that being said, I do want to point out right away that this is one of my first games with Abaddon, but I think I've got a fairly decent idea of the grasp of the hero and what you should be doing to play him effectively. I played this game on release night. I think it was maybe my second or third game that I played with the hero, but I'd had... To put it in terms, like my own terms, this felt like whenever Undying was first released. I had so much fun with this guy, and I just want to share with everybody just how incredibly powerful and effective he can be. Now, that being said, there's quite a lot of things I'm going to talk about throughout this video. The key points are going to be how to use Abaddon skills effectively, some of the item builds that you can go, and what you should be focused on throughout the game. And that's going to be my very first point of discussion here, is that Abaddon is kind of difficult to lane. Now, whenever people think of him, generally they think, you should be playing into a support role. And while yes, I do agree with that, however, that doesn't mean that he should not be placed into some kind of farming position. I feel like Abaddon functions best whenever he's played as like a 3 or a 4 on a team. And what I mean by that, if you're not familiar with the terminology, is that with some farm, he's really, really effective. With no farm, he can get by, but take a break from that real quick. I'm actually going to show off Abaddon's, one of his skills right away, his shield. By shielding myself there, I shielded a lot of damage, and I would have taken, well, quite a bit more, 110 more actually. Anyway, throughout the course of this video, I'm going to try not to digress too much. I know that's been one of the problems I've had in the past, is getting distracted too easily because stuff happens. But back to my original point of discussion, you'll notice that I've placed Abaddon into a farming role here. With myself and Rubik here in the hard lane against the Pudge and Luna. This lane is actually not as bad as it looks, by the way. Pudge is extremely item independent. He has massive lane presence, so he's actually not bad as support. Aside from that, we also have our, I think a fight's going to break out here soon, so I don't want to miss it, but we also have our Sven and Crystal Maiden against a Tidehunter Spectre up top, and a Slark versus a Batrider mid. So lanes are a little unusual here, but nothing too out of the ordinary. And again, support Pudge is not as bad as it looks. Give it a try sometime. It's actually pretty fun. So, we're actually going to have a fight breakout here right now, and I'm going to pause the video really quickly because I feel like the action is actually moving a bit too quickly, and I want to be able to catch up on my thoughts here. So, to kind of finalize my initial thought that I was going for here regarding Abaddon's role on a team. I feel like with Abaddon's skill set and the way that he should be played within team fights, he actually does need a bit of farm. That being said, I would not place him into a primary carry position like I say would with Sven over here. I would play Abaddon into a role where he gets a bulk of his items, whether that's going to be, Mechanism, Vlad's, Arcane Boots, if you're playing him as more of a supportive role, which I feel like he should be played as. And then, like, if you need to, you can start diverting the farm to other heroes in your team that might need it more. Because once Abaddon core is up, and I'll kind of share my thoughts, like the items that I feel, not Mantis style, but the items that I feel that Abaddon works best. And by the way, I actually feel like the suggested items for Abaddon are quite good. They're actually one of the better ones that I've seen for the default loadout in Dota 2 so far. So that being said, sticking by this is actually not too bad. And he can use about any boot. I prefer Arcane Boots on him. But anyway, aside from that, I do want to talk about what's going to happen right here. Abaddon's 4 skills, if you're not familiar with them, I am going to go over them in fairly good detail throughout the course of this video. But what's happening here is that within very early fights, especially against ridiculously greedy builds like this Luna's going with the Gloves of Haste, Basic Regen, and Tangos, she's going for a Hand of Midas here, right? Now, what this basically means is that for the first several levels, and for quite a while, she's going to be quite a bit weaker. So against a lane like myself and Rubik, we actually have a good chance of making a play here. So what I've done is I've shielded myself, and I'm about ready to use his Death Coil, or renamed Miss Coil, in Dota 2. I'm going to very, very quickly go over each of Abaddon's abilities, and then I'm going to go over them in more depth once I start the video back over again. But to begin with, Miss Coil, or Death Coil, it's been renamed in Dota 2. Basically what this does is it's a fairly long-range nuke on a super short cooldown that can either damage an enemy unit, heal an ally, but it also deals pure damage to yourself. A Photic Shield, this is probably one of Abaddon's best abilities. All these abilities are great, but this is the one that I feel really should be emphasized. This places a shield on a target unit. It's going to be a friendly hero or friendly creep or yourself. It's going to absorb a certain amount of damage depending on what level it is. Once that amount is hit or the duration expires, the shield is going to explode in a fairly large 675 AoE and damage everything around it. Now, what's nice about this is that not only does it block damage from you, like you can actually see the little damage block ticks going off. Some of that's from my Stout, actually, none of it's from my Stout Shield. Yeah, that's blocking the rot damage right now. You can see it blocking it. What's nice about this is, again, is it blocks damage, but it also deals damage in an AoE. Essentially what this means is that, like, imagine at level 4, I absorb 200 damage, but we're in a team fight. You can hit all 5 enemy heroes with this in the 675 AoE, and 675 AoE is quite respectable. It's right around, I'd say, about like that, what I'm tracing with the mouse right now. It's quite good. So this ability I like to max out first. I'm going to talk about Abaddon's other 2 skills once I start the video back up. I'm actually going to slow this down a little bit. So what I want you to notice here is I'm taking no damage at all right now from Pudge's Rot. My shield just burst, dealt AoE damage to both of these heroes and all the creeps around us, and I'm in hot pursuit of Luna right now to hopefully get off another death coil. Now what's nice about this is the cooldown is super low, but again, notice how it also deals pure damage to myself. Not that much at level 1, you know, for 50 damage, 100 damage nuke. It scales up to very respectable levels, though, as you level up the skill, and I am going to die here, but that's okay. We got first blood, not a big deal. Rubik here pursuing the Pudge, all that good stuff, but he's going to deny himself. Pretty standard stuff. So anyway, I want to go into a lot more depth about Abaddon's skills because there is a lot of synergy between these abilities, and it's very important to understand how you can use them to their maximum effect. But before I do, I'm going to go into Hero Chase Mode. I want to talk about Abaddon's 2 other abilities I didn't cover yet. So Curse of Avernus, or called Frostmourne in Dota 1. This is actually a really interesting ability on this hero because it's... I say that because it actually is a relatively okay steroid ability in that it gives you attack speed and movement speed, but at the same time it's not quite enough to pass off Abaddon, like say, as a full carry role in that sense. But anyway, what this does is whenever you attack a target, it's going to apply a debuff to them, and if either yourself or your allies, this also includes creeps as well, attack that target, they get a flat move speed bonus of 15% and also a scaling attack speed bonus. It also has a scaling slow, too, on the target that you hit. What's cool about this is that even at level 1, you still get the flat 15% move speed bonus, but as you level it up, the effects become pretty noticeable. One thing I do want to point out is this does affect buildings, only for yourself, but it does affect buildings. But it also affects Roshan. So while I'm not really a strong advocate of, like, say, maxing this, you know, say, definitely not first, possibly second, again, this within this video, I do want to emphasize yet again that I don't have a lot of experience with this hero. But at the same time, like, I have a general idea what to do. I may be able to save the Rubik here. I don't remember. It's unfortunate. Now, what I should have done here, I actually made a pretty vital mistake. I could have saved him if I would have used Miss Coil on him. This is a really, really, really strong heal. It's an extremely strong heal. If I would have cast that on him, even at level 1, that's 100 HP's heal. And whenever you're at level 1, like say on a hero like Rubik with 568 HP, bam, there's almost a fifth of your health pool back yet again. Yeah, I probably would have got hooked if she wouldn't have Lucent beamed me there, so that's always nice. But I probably could have saved him here. Whenever you're trying to save somebody, the general combo should be use this first. If you look in the AoE around my hero right now, it's pretty wide, while a Photic Shield has a really, really low cast range. Look at the difference between the two of these. This is about, I don't know, I'm going to say that's around 700, 750, maybe right around there. And this is 500, or it's right around 500. The numbers actually aren't here right now. Oh, that's not going to tell me. But anyway, generally you should be using your Miss Coil followed up by a Photic Shield if you're trying to save somebody. And this guy is a saver. Like, if you enjoy playing heroes like Undying or Omni-Knight, like heroes that can really, really turn around team fights, this guy is going to be for you. And these two skills, like, you can turn around fights so amazingly quickly doing this. So, again, to finalize my thoughts about the Curse of Avernus, it does apply to Roshan, so you can definitely take down Roshan quickly, especially at later levels. And this is a really, really cool ability because it's also not an orb effect. That means you can get away with going like some really cool builds, like stacking an Orb of Venom with this. It will stack additively with Orb of Venom, which means like Even at level 1, that's a 12% plus 5%, I think it is, if I remember right. I want to make sure I'm not giving bad information here. Yeah, so 12% slow versus 5 on top of that. Like, that's pretty good at level 1. I haven't tried that kind of build yet, but I could see that being a lot of fun, actually. So, last but definitely not least, Abaddon's signature skill, Borrowed Time. But look at how much damage that blocks. That's so good. God, that's so good. By the way, the reason I didn't death coil him there yet again is it would have brought me super, super low. And remember, this is pure damage that it deals to yourself. It wouldn't have killed me, but it would have brought me to like 20 or 30 HP. And with as fast as Luna is, I didn't want to risk her like getting off another auto attack. That was my thought process at the time. It wouldn't have killed him anyway. But anyway, Borrowed Time, Abaddon's signature skill. This thing, oh my god, I had so much fun with this on release night when I played this guy. And I think I don't use it to great effect throughout this video, but I do show what you can get away with and some cool things you can do with it. So what this does is, whenever this is activated, any damage you take heals you. In a nutshell, that's what it does. But a couple things I want to talk about with it is that it will automatically activate if your HP goes below a certain threshold. So if you go below 400 HP, this will activate automatically. And at the time of recording this video, I believe it's a bug, but what you should be able to do if you're playing against Abaddon is use a really heavy nuker like, say, Lena or Lion. If you hit him above the 400 HP mark with a really big nuke like that, you're actually going to be able to come right away. And that was a really good hook on his part, by the way. I probably could have denied myself if I would have used Miscoil there quickly enough. I just didn't think of it at the time. But that's a great example where you can actually use Miscoil to deny yourself from the pure damage. So just a couple, little cool things you can do. But Borrowed Time is amazing. And again, I believe the way that it should work is that if you take a huge damage nuke, like say from, I don't know, like a Dagon, like someone zaps you with a Dagon 5, and you're above the 400 HP threshold, it should kill you automatically. At the time of recording this video, it does not, but yet again, I think that's a bug. But anyway, if you go below 400 HP, regardless if you're stunned, if you're silenced, even if you're doomed, this is the one skill in the game that can actually remove Doom. It will purge all status debuffs on you, and then any damage you take will heal you. You can also manually activate this, and this can be really useful against a hero like, for example, Sand King. If you know he's about to ulti in with his epicenter, but you're at half health, turn this on, because your health is going to skyrocket right back up to full, and by the time his epicenter is done, you're going to be ready to go again. So, what I'm doing here, if you're curious, I'm actually going to pause the video again for a quick second here. I really want to try to flesh out my thoughts. I feel like weaker points in my earlier videos is that I'm not finishing my thoughts completely enough, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to switch Fog of War to us just to get that done. But anyway, I'm leaving the lane right now, and I'm going to start roaming around. Abaddon is not a hero that should be sitting in a lane farming. I very, very strongly feel that he should be played as a very aggressive. He should be played very aggressively. Whether you're trying to get kills within your lane or whether you're going to another lane to try to help them get kills, you should be doing something with this hero. He's not a hero like, say, like Sven, who can actually, sit around in the lane and farm, then go to the jungle, farm, come out half an hour later, and kill the whole team in one hit from a cleave. Abaddon is not that kind of hero. Again, very similar to guys like Bristleback, Undying, Omni Knight, where you want to be very active and you want to be with your team as quickly as you possibly can. That being said, I don't feel like, especially with the level 6 Pudge and level 6 Luna, I don't feel like Rubik and I can effectively contribute to the team anymore if I stay within this lane. That being said, it's a shame to leave the Rubik alone, but think of it this way. If he and I stay within this lane, and we sit there and just kind of, hover, around this little area right here, hope we can get some EXP from the creep wave. One of us gets hooked, one of us dies, and the lane just snowballs out of control and is completely lost. If I go somewhere else with a hero that is as strong as Abaddon is at early levels, and I can help contribute, especially like, say, here up top, with as active as the enemy team wants to be up here, I can do so much more for my team by doing that. So there comes a time to leave your lane, and that's just a big part of playing Dota itself, is like realizing when you should leave your lane and when you should start roaming around and actually trying to start making stuff happen. Another quick thing that I did as well is just to adapt to the lane that I was in, I do plan to build an Urn of Shadows. I went ahead and I bought the 2 Gauntlets of Strength right away. Getting this +6 strength for only, 300 gold, that's 114 HP right there. from these two gauntlets of strength. That's enormous. So with plus 114 HP, plus my level 3 shield that's going to absorb 170 damage, I effectively have over 1000 HP right now. On top of my wand, I have even more than that. So the way that I feel like you should build this guy is kind of like I'm going to show you throughout this video. Build him into like a tanky role with supportive items, but a guy that really plans to get in there in the action. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of farm here. And yeah, I know my last hitting throughout this video is really bad, so please be gentle in the comments. But in my defense, again, this was about like the second or third time I actually played the guy. But anyway, got my ulti. Ready to have some fun. So I'm running up top right now, and my general game plan here is I want to be able to help this Slark, who's also up here roaming around. I want to try to get some kills with him. So this is going to lead into like how you should effectively team fight and how you should fight with Abaddon. So Slark goes in, pounce. Actually, don't even slow it down here, I don't think. Yeah, it's going to be pretty straightforward. They actually really didn't even need me for the kill. I throw in a Death Coil to try to steal the kill. Didn't quite get it, but it did do a bit of damage here. One really cool thing that I want to discuss while there's a bit of downtime is the interaction between Death Coil and a Photic Shield is really, really interesting. You can shield yourself, and again, that's going to absorb whatever damage you take, but at the same time, what that's also going to do is whenever the pure damage from Death Coil hits you, it's going to be blocked by shield. So imagine, if you will, both of these abilities are at level 4, which I feel like whenever, like, max these two out first. But that being said, I think picking up an early point in a Curse of Avernus is actually okay, but it depends on the type of game you're playing. Since I'm starting to run around and be active, I think picking up a single point in this is actually going to be pretty effective, and I believe that I do that throughout the course of this video whenever we're roaming around and fighting some more. This is a guy that does not have a rigid skill build whatsoever. You can build this guy in a lot of different ways. You can max Death Coil first, Shield first, however you want to do it. It really depends on the game. But the interaction between these two abilities is nice. Again, imagine, if you will, both of these are at level 4. What that's going to do is whenever you cast the Death Coil, you're going to take 125 pure damage to yourself, but that's going to be blocked by the 200... excuse me, Jesus, I'm trying to formulate my thought here. That's going to be blocked partially by the 200 shield absorption damage. So it's going to block 125 of the pure damage. You'll have 75 left over on this. So basically what that means is you can cast 2 of these coils close to free. The second one's going to leak over a bit. So we're doing a bit of fighting here. I shielded myself, and Slark's going to have to back up for a sec. But look at that damage that I do just from the shield exploding is actually pretty considerable here. Managed to take out the Bat Rider. His Finn's coming in to try to give us a little bit of backup. I'm going to wand up just to get my my blue and my green back up a little bit. Pudge does go down. Again, I'm still keeping the shield on myself. I cast Death Coil on the Slark just to make sure he can kind of get back into this fight. Because hopefully, like, from me healing him, I'm hoping he can actually come back in here and maybe try to catch the Spectre. Don't think it quite worked out that way, but I still feel like we played that well. That was a waste of an Urn Charge, by the way. If you know that your target like really isn't going to die, then don't blow Urn Charges like that. But that's actually kind of a good segue into talking about effective item builds for Abaddon. I really feel like Urn of Shadows is the perfect item for this guy. It gives him everything he needs. Gives you a substantial amount of HP, which you're going to need whenever you're running into fights, which you should be. I really feel like Abaddon should be one of the primary players in team fights. You should be out there in front because of his ultimate. It's really, really good. By the way, my ulti did trigger during that fight. It really wasn't used to extremely good effect, but at the same time, it made sure that I didn't die. And any damage I was taking, say from like the Bat Rider's, you know, Firefly Trail or the Pudge's Rot, it meant that I was healing off of that damage instead. Urn of Shadows is perfect for this guy. It gives you not only quite a bit of extra XP, but it also gives you a lot of mana regen. This is one of Abaddon's primary weaknesses. Same idea with most strength heroes that are effectively casters, is you need mana and you need someone to regenerate mana. This item is great for that, and it's extremely cheap. But at the same time, it also gives you that wonderful, wonderful 400 heal. I cannot emphasize how strong this is. Right now, at this point in the game, I'm able to heal an ally for 150 plus 400, just from my Death Coil and my Urn of Shadows alone. That's it. I'm level 7. I'm not very farmed at all, like hardly farmed. I basically have nothing at this point. But I can heal an ally for a lot of their HP pool. At this point in the game, easily 3/4 of any of my allies on the entire team. Even the Sven, I can heal him back up to effectively full. So one cool thing about the shield, I'm actually going to go ahead and pause it yet again, is with the shield, you can actually cast this multiple times whenever you have it maxed out. It goes down to a 6-second cooldown, which is why I emphasize maxing this first. Whenever it's this low of a cooldown, you can actually cast this multiple times during a team fight or multiple times before a team fight breaks out. So I cast it on myself here. I should be casting it on the Slark, which I believe I do at a moment. But what's going to happen whenever I do that is it's going to make sure, like, no matter who they initiate on, it's going to make sure that we have some kind of protection. And I believe the Slark is about to get hooked here about any second. Bam! Okay, so what happened there is the shield burst immediately because the Pudge's hook did a lot more damage than the shield can take. But again, it blocks 200 damage that the Slark otherwise would have taken. Alright, start it back up again. And I want you to see the power of Abaddon. I'm going to go ahead and shield him again. Use a Death Coil. This means that Slark can stay in the fight if he absolutely has to. Tidehunter comes in with the Ravage. My borrowed time is going to activate. What you want to notice is that any damage I'm taking, like from the Luna's Eclipse, it's going to heal me right back up. This is awesome. Shield myself again, throwing an Urn Charge, and now it's about time to back off. And by the way, whenever you use your Death Coil during borrowed time, it will heal you. The pure damage will actually heal you. So not only can you damage a target, but you can heal yourself, or you can heal an ally and heal yourself at the same time. Pretty awesome. I like it. So, this guy's teamfight potential is just enormous what you can get away with, especially against a team like this where their early teamfight potential is not bad, but Spectre can't really do a whole lot, especially without going a Desolate build. Luna's Eclipse is quite strong, but at the same time, it's not the end-all be-all. The combination of Ravage and Eclipse, you know what, actually, I take that back. Their teamfight is actually quite good. Combination of Ravage, Eclipse, and Pudge hooking someone out and Batrider disabling somebody, their teamfight is actually not bad at all. But using a hero like Abaddon, this is why he makes me think of Omni Knight. Omni Knight can turn a fight so quickly with Purification, Repel, and his ultimate. Abaddon's kind of the same way, but he's more of he's definitely a lot more spammy. You're going to be a lot more active in a fight. Block and damage, healing people, his heals are a lot more, you can distribute his healing a lot more effectively than you can with Omni Knight. Well, I think Omni Knight's spells are, stronger, pound for pound, but they also take longer to cast and they have a longer cooldown. I'm sorry to keep comparing this guy to Omni Knight, but interestingly enough, if you know the old Warcraft 3 lore, they are very closely related, so it's actually kind of an interesting point. Now, a mistake I'm making here is that I should be trying to Death Coil the Crystal Maiden instead of using the shield first. That's a mistake on my part. I probably could have saved her. Always use this first before you cast your shield if you're trying to save an ally. I'm going to earn myself back up just to make sure I can stay within this fight. Batrider looping around here. Make sure I don't block the Slark. And I do get hooked here, but again, my borrow time activates. Not making the best use of it because I didn't really get to heal much off of it, but at the same time, it also, it's not bad. This costs no mana, and it's on a fairly low cooldown for how strong the skill is. So, if that didn't activate by the Pudge hooking me, that would have brought me down to, I don't know, maybe 300 or so HP, but instead it healed me. Now, what's really, really awesome about this skill is if you run into a team fight and people don't know how to deal with it and they just focus you, it is an immense waste of resources, particularly damage nukes. I'm getting in way too deep here. I didn't realize my ulti was still off a cooldown, so I'm going to have to back up for a second. And again, the strength of Urn of Shadows cannot be underestimated. Get this item on this hero because you should be active early and your team is going to get kills. Trying to turn around, see what we can do to help this fight out a little bit. And the Crystal Maiden does get hooked, and again, I could have done that better. I should have Death Coiled her instead of the Pudge. But again, check this out. The combination of Urn and Death Coil, she's back up to full. She can get back into this fight right away. The combination of these two is so amazingly strong. And that being said, I feel like Abaddon is an excellent holder of aura items, especially Mech, Vladimir's Drum. Later on in the game, if it goes late enough, something like an Assault Cuirass might be really, really good. Actually, I didn't build it this game, but I think on paper it sounds great. Reason being is because you are not going to be like the first one to die in a fight. Hardly ever. Like, I can't really see a situation where you would be. Borrow time is going to keep you alive, and by that, you're going to keep your auras up for your team to use. I feel like this is what I was talking about earlier, whenever I feel like he should be played into a supportive role, but he needs some items to really maximize his effectiveness. Not that he would not be a presence, you know, otherwise, but without some gold and without some items on him, his potential is just... I don't think it's there. I don't think he should be played as a guy that sits around and buys wards all game, and that's all that he does. So we're about to get down into another fight here, and again, I'm showing no fear. And look, they don't know what to do. And even if the targets don't focus you, like right there, they're forced to like run around and put themselves out of position. And my borrowed time actually really did a lot of work for me right there. It triggered Untitled Hunter's Ravage, but it also healed me for... God, I think I healed probably a good 300, 400 HP there. So, just by me running into the middle of their team and forcing them to disperse, I was able to create enough chaos for the Slark to come in and initiate, and the fight went extremely well for us. And by the way, this is kind of more of a metagame thing, and yeah, that was bad of me. I didn't even notice that Luna was still down there, but kind of a more meta thing is whenever you're against a team like this, you know, you're against a Spectre and a Luna, and they have relatively strong heroes for defending their positions. I feel like the Tidehunter, Batrider, and Pudge are actually quite good here. But you need to play fast and you need to play hard. While our Sven, yeah, we have Sven by the way, but while our Sven is going to get strong and he's definitely effective as a hard carry, can he take on the Spectre and the Luna? I don't know about that, especially if they do well and they farm well. And you know, Luna picking up that very, very greedy early hand to Midas. If the game goes on long enough, it's going to pay off and it's going to work for her. I want to make sure that doesn't happen. That's going to be my key thing. And I think I have my mech coming. Yep, I do have mechanism finish. I feel like we should have turned around and fought this. I'm not sure why at the time I, you know, called for everybody to back up. I feel like we could have easily taken that fight, especially with mech up. Now, with mech up, things get really, really ridiculous. Slark's going to be fine, by the way. He's got an Invis rune, but things get ridiculous with the mech. So let's do a little bit of math here. The effective total combined heal of what I can do. By the way, I can block 200 damage. I can instantly heal 250, which is the same amount as the mech, by the way, on a single target. I can also pop the mech for an additional 250. So I can burst heal 500 HP onto a single target, block 200 damage, and after the fight's over, I can heal 400 damage on top of that if I have a charge on Urn of Shadows. This guy, I feel like, should be built like as a walking fountain. That's why I also picked up Arcane Boots. Now, that being said, you can go like about any kind of boot on this guy, I feel. Like if we look at the different boots here. Phase boots would be excellent if you're going for like a less of a supportive role than I am, because whenever you have phase boots up, I feel like positioning with this guy is somewhat important, not critical. Like you can get away with a lot due to your ultimate, but the low cast range on a Photic Shield really makes it tough, like, to effectively get into position sometimes. So phase boots are fine. Treads are hardly ever a bad choice on tanky heroes like this. I like Arcane Boots a lot, and Tranquils are going to be very, very good for making sure you can sustain your Mist Coil. It's going to be very good for that. So about any boot works on this guy. I feel like a good combination too would be a Soul Ring on top of Tranquil Boots. Reason being is because you can use your Mist Coil effectively all the time, and on top of that you can also cast a shield too. And you can heal whatever damage you take from your Tranquil Boots. Actually, I remember what happens here. So, what I want to point out here is a Crystal Maiden got hooked, and she's about to die. Like, I really want to show off just the power of what you can do with this hero. So, I should be, again, I should have Death Coiled first instead of shielding first, but I digged off both spells, and look at how much better shape she's in right now. Like, even if there was another hero on top of her, I still feel like she would have had enough of a buffer to be able to at least get off all of her spells, or even completely survive the engagement. Just being hooked by a Pudge, not enough. Pudge is not going to be able to kill her if I'm around. God, I love heroes like this. Being able to turn around a team fight like that, or turn around a gank, is so incredibly satisfying. Like, I can't emphasize enough. Walking up to the Spectre, really not worried about much right now. And I'm going to throw a shield on myself, just keep myself Keep myself full. And again, my borrow time is going to trigger, and I also trigger my mech at the same time here. Actually, borrow time is not triggered yet. There it goes. And again, notice whenever the Luna casts a Lucent Beam on me, bam, heals me back up. I'm already back up to about 850 HP just from that. Walking around in the Napalm and Luna casting spell on me. Use your borrow time intelligently. Like I've been pretty blatant about it throughout this game. But I feel like as time goes on, people are going to kind of figure out how to deal with this guy more effectively. By the way, an extremely good counter to this is something like a Yule Scepter, or any heroes that remove Abaddon from the game, like Shadow Demon, Outworld, yeah, guys like that. Basically, anything that removes Abaddon from play for an amount of time is an extremely good counter to his ultimate. Or I played a game as Bane last night, and Bane and Abaddon counter each other really, really hard, but you can Nightmare Abaddon while he's under the effects of Borrowed Time to effectively remove him from play, and that's going to be really effective as well. So Roshan's going to go pretty quick. Again, I only have one level of the Curse of Avernus right now, but it adds up, especially when this is level 4. Taking out Roshan with a right-click team is really, really strong. I'm going to make sure that I keep her carry alive, throw a shield on him, pop my mech. He's back up to full, and he's still ready to go. Nice counter hook by the Rubik here, chasing after the Spectre. Now, one cool thing I just did there is this removes all debuffs. So while our Sven got hit with a Gush, I cast the Photic Shield on him, and it instantly removes that debuff. I'm not sure if I actually talked about that earlier in the video, but that's kind of the strongest point of the entire spell, to be honest. This removes debuffs. That is so incredibly strong. Let's take a look at an example of some of the things like that can be really useful for. That can remove Sticky Napalm. I believe it removes Flaming Lasso, too. I'm actually pretty sure that it does. Also, it's going to remove Anchor Smash debuff. It's going to remove Gush debuff. It's going to save someone if they're dismembered. It's going to cancel the dismember. On my team, if someone was under the effect of Nova or Frostbite, it would remove that. It would remove Fade Bolt. It would remove Sven's Stun. That's one really key thing, is it removes stuns. This ability is extremely powerful, and in that way, I'm sorry to keep comparing this guy to Omni Knight, but they're so similar, like in the roles that they play. It's just it's a good basis. Like, this is kind of like a one-shot repel in a sense. If someone is stunned or under the effect of some kind of status debuff, casting this on them is extremely powerful. It's not going to remove certain things like Ancient Apparition Ultimate. It's not going to remove Doom, but at the same time, your Borrowed Time will remove those things. I'm not 100% sure if it removes AA Ulti. It may not. I know it does remove Doom. Another thing too to talk about on the subject of countering this guy is HP removal effects will go through Borrowed Time. So Bloodseeker is actually a quite effective counter to this guy. Well, kind of. Like, if he's forced to run, he can't run and let the Rupture heal him back up to full. Rupture will still damage him through Borrowed Time. So will other HP removal effects. Like, Necrolight's Heartstopper Aura is another HP removal effect. Urn of Shadows is an HP removal effect. There's a couple of them in the game, and that can be semi-effective counter, or just something to keep in mind if you're playing against this hero. So it looks like we're able to find another fight here. Coming around, Rubik cooks a Pudge. Very nice. Very poetic. And I don't know what the hell I was doing here. I think I was drunk or something, but nothing I could have done anyway. Batrider flying around, and Mist Coil is nice. Like, the damage values seem low, and I feel like this should be used as a heal more often than not. Again, very similar to Undying Soul Rip. While this Undying Soul Rip can be an extremely strong nuke, I feel like it should be used as a heal more often than not. And the reason I feel that way is because you're going to get the full 250 heal out of this thing. Well, if you cast it on an enemy target, they're going to, reduce it from their base magic resistance. I know that's looking at it like a by-the-numbers approach, but just something to think about. So I know the Rubik's going to go deep here. Throw a shield on him, and yeah, he runs right into the Eclipse. But again, look how strong this is. Combination of mech, shield, Mist Coil. It's going to be hard for your teammates to die if you are active with this guy, and you're really, really looking at everybody's HP bars. And play this guy in a supportive role. Trust me. Like I haven't tried to play him as more of a carry role, but I feel like his skill set lends himself way, way too well to the style that I'm playing him in right now. Picking up items like I had, Arcane Boots, Mech, Vlad's, kind of be a walking fountain type of hero. It's so incredibly effective. Playing this guy on release night went extremely well. Had a very good time, and felt very powerful in the style that I built him as. And looks like we're going to come in here and try to finish the game. There's not a lot that they can do at this point, and again, I apologize if this was a little stompy, but at the same time, it really shows how to effectively play against teams that have like 2 hard carries like these guys do. Like, always be thinking of how to adapt your play, and how are you going to play this game as it goes forth. Is Sven really going to be able to take on both of these heroes? Maybe, maybe not. Like, I don't want to take that risk, and if you're playing heroes that do extremely well in the early game, like pretty much everybody on our team, make use of that. I cannot emphasize that enough. Make use of your heroes' roles and emphasize their strengths. Borrow time does trigger, it's not going to matter a whole lot. And by the way, one mistake that I am making there is don't use your shield during borrow time. The reason for that is because you're going to block the damage and you're not going to heal off of it. So, just something to think about. I definitely want to get our carry healed back up here a little bit. There we go. And having somebody like Crystal Maiden on the team is extremely helpful. This guy does have some mana problems. So that being said, having a couple pairs of mana boots on your team is extremely beneficial. Having Crystal Maiden Aura on the team made an enormous impact that game, or this game. I have absolutely no doubt that it did. And just trying to think of some other good parting thoughts that I can leave you with before the game. I'm not sure how long we screw around here. Looks like maybe for a couple of minutes or so. But like whenever you're going into a fight, again, like think of how to effectively use your combos together. If you have the mana pool to support it, especially as the game goes on, try to get shield on multiple targets before you actually go into a fight. Don't be afraid to be the first guy in either, because I still feel like as time goes on, people are going to learn how to work around this hero and not, you know, let borrowed time just... They're not going to sit there and focus you during borrowed time, but I still feel like it's hard to ignore this guy, because with all these abilities on such a short cooldown and as much contribution as they actually can have because of that, like, they have to do something. Again, that's why I feel like items like a Yule Scepter is really a strong counter to this hero. So are things like silences. Like, being silenced as this guy is a real hassle. I played another game last night where I was against a, I think a Bloodseeker, and that, yeah, I was against a Bloodseeker, and that made things really tough. Any heroes like that have inherently really spammy abilities like this, and you can't get them off in a fight, that reduces your effectiveness massively. So, you know, in the week or so that you're going to see Abaddon played pretty much every game if you're playing all pick mode, think about those things if you're having trouble against a guy. Silences and anything that removes him from play are both extremely effective counters. Now, if I were to build Abaddon differently, there's not much to talk about here, by the way, it's just us killing people. But if I were to play Abaddon differently and say, build him as more of a carry role, I've thought about a couple of things. I feel like stuff like a Radiance build is, I don't know about that. Like, the reason I'm hesitant is because Abaddon's strength is so high in the early and mid game that by getting a Radiance, you're delaying your effectiveness like throughout pretty much the entire early game. While this item, again on paper, would be really good on this hero, mainly because you don't die, so that means that your Radiance aura is going to be up pretty much all the time. Again, this guy is an extremely strong aura holder just because of the way his skill set works and because of his ultimate. I feel like an item like a Radiance is just... it's too much. It's a little too greedy and you're not going to be able to get it up in time to really be effective. Now, items like Assault Cuirass, I think, would be extremely good on this guy. Synergizes really well with your built-in attack speed, and again, remember that your allies do get the full benefit of this if they're attacking a target, so something like an Assault Cuirass would be really good on this guy as late game rolls around. I do like that idea. He has an interesting Aghanim Scepter. Well, actually not really interesting, but possibly a viable Ags upgrade. It goes up to 7 seconds. It depends, really. If you're against a team like that can't help but sit there and hurt you, like a Leshrac, Sand King, any other heroes that have a lot of AoE abilities, like that they can't control how the damage disperses, this might be effective. I don't think this would be a bad Ags upgrade. Would I get it like as a first or second item? I'm not so sure about that, but possibly a good pickup on this guy. But looks like that's going to be it. So I hope you took away something from this. Again, I'm probably going to do a round 2 over this hero, but I had so much damn fun playing this guy. I just wanted to pump up this video for you guys and hope you find some use out of it. So take a look at the final score screen here. I am very aware this was a bit stompy, so I apologize for that, but like, you should be the guy with the most assists on your team. So like, getting kills as Abaddon is not something you should really be focusing on. You should be trying to get your teammates alive so that they can get the kills. Your assists are going to go up. You're going to get a lot of EXP and gold for helping your team out. And I think a build like this is most effective, minus the Manta style. Just bought that for the hell of it. Maybe something like a pipe, if the game went longer, would have been really effective here. Being able to block a good portion of Luna's Eclipse or Tidehunter's damage would have been really effective. And if the game went longer, I probably would have picked up something like an Assault Cuirass to assist the Sven and the Slark. My Vlad's pickup I felt was fairly strong, again, to assist the 3 of us, Sven, Abaddon, and Slark. But again, remember that even your ranged heroes do get the benefits of Vlad's, they just don't get the lifesteal from it. So Vlad's is also a good pickup on this guy. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you find this helpful. Take care.